Mm.
Hi, and welcome to Twin Cities Real Estate Rhetoric. My name is Tom Sommers, and I am joined by my co-host, Toby Muma. Hey, Toby, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Wonderful. Welcome to everybody today for tuning in and supporting us so far. The response has been wonderful. We appreciate you checking us out on Facebook or YouTube or iTunes, wherever you're finding us. Today is episode number 6, and we are going to be covering the short sale process. And we're going to talk about the process for sellers as well as for buyers. But I want to start off by just saying to everybody for clarification that a short sale happens when a seller owes more money than the home is worth, and they need to get out from under their mortgage. So they ask the bank, will you let me sell this short and take the loss of whatever that amount is and let me out of the mortgage? So that's where the term short sale comes from. It has nothing to do with the length of time for the process.
No, not at all.
So, Tovi, do you want to start off and talk about the seller's perspective, what they're going to need to know?
Right, yeah. Well, starting off, the sellers are going to need a hardship. That's one of the first things that a bank's going to ask them is, what is your hardship?
Yeah.
Whether it is a loss of a job, a divorce, a death, a job transfer,
Yeah.
a health issue. There's got to be some sort of hardship that the bank is going to want to hear about in a letter that
Yep.
you're going to have to draft and send in to them.
Yeah, because they'll work with you,
Right.
but you have to be honest and just tell them the truth, because there's all types of different hardships, and one isn't necessarily any better than another. But, also saying that before you go any further with this, and even before you maybe draft the letter, it would not be a bad idea not only to contact a real estate agent that understands how to handle short sales, but
Right.
also talk to a real estate attorney. If you are facing this situation and you need some help or questions answered, give us a call. We're both happy to, refer you to people and all that. But
That's right.
it's important you know what your rights are, because we can't give you any legal advice. We're just real estate agents. We can help you with the sale of the house, but you really want the attorney to look over those documents.
Exactly. So, and then also along with the hardship letter, and after you talk with the realtor is going to want to have you fill out like a mortgage information release form. And this is going to be a document that allows your realtor to contact the lender on your behalf and also speak to the lender on your behalf.
Yep.
And that'll be submitted. Once that's submitted, it's best to basically, you're going to put your house on the market, and the lender is going to be requiring a bunch of other documentation,
Which they call the package.
And that's either going to be required when you're listing your property, or they're going to say to just wait until you have an offer and then send everything in, send the package in. Basically, every lender has a different process of going through the short sale.
But I'd also
Go
like
ahead.
to add that I've always been a big believer that whether they tell you to hold off or not, you send all that paperwork in, because the
Okay.
sooner you can get the short sale rolling, the better off you are when they get the offer and you don't have another maybe 2 months to wait. Plus,
Right.
too, like Toby was saying, all the banks have different strategies in the way they handle it. But the one thing is for certain is there's a difference between an FHA loan and a conventional loan, and so they may want the package differently or pieces of it. So you want to make sure that the agent that you hire, who will take care of all of this, gets to the right people as soon as possible to get those questions answered.
Exactly. Some other, I don't know if you want to include some other things that are going to be needed in the package or required.
Yeah.
Those are going to be tax statements from the last 2 years, probably, pay stubs. They're going to have you fill out a financial worksheet with your monthly
Bills
outgoing
that-
and incoming monies. What else are they going to look for?
They've got the bank statements and the pay stubs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's basically, that's basically it. They're just going to want to see what your financial situation is, and then the realtor is going to work with you on getting your house priced, and getting it on the market.
And a reoccurring theme too with these banks is they love paperwork, so they're going to ask for updates every month, your latest bank statements and your latest pay stubs. They won't ask for your taxes again, but they're always going to ask for anything that's updated. And don't be surprised if they ask for the hardship letter 3, 4, 5 times with a new date and a signature on it. So just be prepared. And you have to play the game. We have to jump through the hoops. We got to get them what they need so they can process it the way they need to.
Exactly. And one other thing, I know sometimes you'll say you've sent everything in. We'll send everything into the bank. We'll have documented that we've sent everything into them, whether it's via fax or email, or a lot of the banks are using the Equator system.
Yep.
But they will then come back and say, we haven't received your hardship letter yet, or we haven't received the tax stubs. You're like, I know we've sent them in, but you know what? Send them in again.
Yep.
Somewhere they got lost. It's just that's part of the process and part of putting everything together.
And the key to this whole thing that's going to help you get this short sale done, not only from the buyer's perspective, but also the seller's, is that listing agent has to really know what they're doing. And
Right.
so don't just be so quick to jump on the bandwagon that someone is considered a short sale specialist. They may never
Right.
have done a short sale, but they paid $500 for a class and they have this really cool ring or whatever certificate they give out.
Right.
And that's just not the case. You want to vet your agent and make sure that they understand how to do this, because it's really quite simple. And most of the successful agents that are doing short sales will say to you, it's persistence and having a system. You have to contact the bank every single week and just check, where are we here? Do you need anything? Are you missing anything? That's the only way. They will never call us as agents and say, hey, we're missing, the bank statement here and we need you to send it.
Nope, nope. You always have to be on them. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, so let's move on to buyers.
Okay,
All right.
buyers.
Similar with buyers, I think, but the buyer also, the biggest thing for the buyers, they have to be patient. If you want to be in a house in 30 to 60 days, don't even look at a short sale, because it's just
No.
simply not going to happen. And don't listen. And there's agents out there that actually believe that if we put a 30-day closing date or a 45-day closing date on the purchase agreement, it's going to make the bank rush. That's asinine.
They have their own rate, their own speed, and they will get to it when they get to it. So,
Yeah, so some of the things you're going to want to know about as a buyer before you consider writing an offer on a purchase agreement, an offer on a house,
Right.
is knowing, who are the banks,
Who
and
are the
how
banks?
much is owed.
right.
What
How many
else?
banks are there?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's just one lender, which is ideal.
Yeah.
Other times there are two lenders. A lot of things that happened, people were purchasing their houses and then they were going right away and taking out that second mortgage to buy the new car. When the housing boom was going on. And so a lot of people do have two mortgages on their property.
And if there's three, run.
Right. Exactly.
Well, because there are a few that are like that. You'll never get them done. I'm
right.
sorry. It just isn't going to happen.
Right. So, but yeah, so it's just knowing, and then also knowing the lenders, who they are, knowing who they are, and also finding out if the sheriff's sale has taken place.
Oh, that's a good point, too.
Yeah. So there's a period when homeowners stop making their payments to when they get notified that they're going to have a sheriff's sale. Once the sheriff's sale takes place, then there's a 6-month redemption period. And then, it's trying to figure out where they are in that process of the redemption period.
Yeah, so if
before or after the sheriff's sale. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so if essentially what Toby's also saying here is that if you have a property that you really, really like and you find out that the sheriff's sale was 3 months ago, well, there's a 6-month redemption period in the state of Minnesota, meaning at the end of 6 months, if they haven't redeemed the property or we haven't closed on it, game over, it goes back to the bank. So even if you have a purchase agreement in hand, agreed to with the seller, once the redemption period is up, the seller has lost any and all rights to the property. That purchase agreement becomes null and void and you lose out. You don't lose
Right.
earnest money, but you lose out. You don't have the right to buy the property.
Exactly.
So why put yourself through the hassle of writing an offer on a house that only has 2 months left in the redemption period?
Exactly.
You
Because
wanna-
you're not going to get, the
Yeah.
short sale's not going to be pushed through in that amount of time.
Yeah.
We can do everything in our power to try to get it to go through, but it's not going to happen most
and,
likely.
Yeah, and the bank doesn't speed up. They just
No.
don't. So you want to really catch ones. I mean, the ideal situation for a buyer would be to find a house that is in a short sale that has not had a sheriff's sale yet, that the sellers are barely behind, if at all, on their payments. Because I've
Right.
done short sales where they've never missed a payment and they've been able to get the short sale done. So that's a
Right.
myth. And then
Yep.
thirdly, that you haven't had the sheriff's sale and the redemption period hasn't started. If you can get all of that ahead of time, you're in much better shape.
Right. Right.
So-
So it's basically for buyers, just simply making sure you're working with somebody that knows to ask the right questions.
Yep.
And main thing, when is the sheriff's sale, and can we sit, are you going to be patient and wait for 3 months, 6 months?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yeah, and I would say on average you're looking at a minimum of 6 months, if not longer. If
Right.
it's one single loan and it's with certain banks that are very organized, great. We could maybe get it done in 90 to 120 days, but don't count on
Exactly.
it. That's the exception to the rule.
Right.
So
Yep.
we hope that this was informative for you guys today as a buyer or a seller. As always, we want to hear your comments. Please leave them with us on Facebook or YouTube. You can email us or call us as well if you have questions. Thank you
Right.
so much for taking the time, Toby. I always appreciate your help with this.
Thanks, Tom.
I hope you guys all have a great day, and thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.